All right, so we've actually only got one question again for this week's Q&A. So I'm going to take that as a good sign. I'm assuming that that means the majority of you obviously don't have questions and don't need clarification on something. So clearly the course is doing its job. Now, if you have any questions, obviously throughout this week or ever really throughout the course of the course, drop it on this Q&A post right here, and I would love to answer it for you. And also, keep an eye out on Sundays. I drop the actual Q&A post. So if you have any specific questions that you'd like to see me answer in video format like this, let me know. Drop it on the Q&A post on Sunday. Sometimes I post it on Monday if I forget, and I'll answer it in video format for you, okay? So Mario says, out of all the arbitrage methods, textbook, liquidation, wholesale, retail, coupon, etc., which one is your favorite and which one do you see having the most profit potential? Now, that's really kind of hard. It's really difficult, in my opinion, to give a one-size-fits-all. I know that's kind of what you're looking for here, but it's really difficult to give a one-size-fits-all answer and be like, this is the best business model. This is the most profitable one, right? This is the worst one, or whatever it is, right? Because it really depends on you specifically, or whoever it is that's obviously thinking this question up. You're not the first person to ask this question. I get it a lot, but obviously I don't like to give a one-size-fits-all answer, and that's kind of why I structured the course in the beginning to kind of diagnose like where you're at, you know, money-wise, like how much you can afford to spend into these products, you know, what your goals are, how much time you have to invest, etc., etc. Okay, so I'm going to do my best to give you an answer here, but ultimately it's going to depend on how much time you have, obviously, how much money you have to invest, you know, where you're located, right? And realistically, like how good you are at each one, right? Are also like the questions that you need to ask yourself is like, are you talking about like profit potential for this month? Are you talking about profit potential if you don't have any money to spend right now? Are you talking about profit potential if you have 1,000? Profit potential if you have 5,000, right? Or profit potential over the long term just as you scale your business, right? The reason I'm bringing all these questions up is it really depends, okay? And so realistically, I recommend that people start, if they don't have a lot of money to spend initially, either start with cashback coupon, as well as now actually retail dropshipping Poshmark. I'm reintroducing that back into the next version of the course because I've been testing it recently and it's been phenomenal and working very, very well, okay? I think it's a really viable way for newcomers or people without any money initially to kind of build up an initial nest egg, as well as cashback, coupon, and a little bit of liquidation maybe, initially to kind of build up that initial nest egg to then invest into something that's more scalable, okay? So none of those are the most profitable, obviously, just in general, but if you don't have any money to spend, then it is an ROI business, and so you shouldn't focus on more scalable businesses until you kind of complete step one. Think of it kind of like a video game of sorts, right? You need to complete step one. I'm not saying this is you, but if it is obviously you or whoever's watching this, if you don't have a lot of money to spend, obviously you can't go to the more scalable businesses because it's a return on your investment business and you need to spend money here to actually make money. The more you spend, the more you'll make, okay? Now, assuming that you do have unlimited capital to spend, right? Unlimited funds to spend, and you're really just asking like, what's the most scalable for me right now? Well, right now at the time of answering this question, it is almost December. It's 11/24. So if you ask me right now, like what could you hop into immediately right now that would give you the most ROI, it would probably honestly be either retail websites like Sourcing with Source Mogul or some of the bulk sites, or books. The reason being is because that's going to give you the fastest ROI, the quickest, and the most profit margin, in my opinion, right now. The reason being is we're moving toward the end of Q4. We're moving toward Christmas, so if you source a lot of retail sites currently right now, or a lot of bulk sites, a lot of those products are gonna be high branded products, and while the margins might not be, you know, great, you're gonna sell a lot of them and they're gonna move really fast because obviously Christmas is approaching fairly soon, okay? And the same thing with books, right? So books are selling really, really well right now. It is, you know, we just kind of passed through a textbook season. Another textbook season is approaching us as we move into, I think it's January or February, end of January, beginning of February. Don't quote me on that. I always like to look it up. Just Google like, when's the Amazon textbook season? You will see it pop up. I believe it's like January or February. Let me actually just check it for you really fast so I can give you a definitive answer while we're here. When is textbook season? And it is, right? So spring textbook season begins mid-December and goes through early February. Peak textbook sales are generally in the first 2 weeks of January. So the reason that I'm saying that is because obviously Q4 raises like a rising tide floats all ships, right? So believe it or not, books actually do sell even better, than they normally would outside of textbook season in Q4, right? Even though it's not like a present or like a Christmassy thing or something like that, they do still sell better, and there's more higher sales velocity for books as well as plenty of other products, right? So that's why I say books is a good thing to sell now, because A, they already have high sales velocity, and then as you move, past December, you're literally moving right into another textbook season, so your high sales velocities and your margins will still be high, right? So if you ask me, like, what's the best way in the highest profit margin right now with unlimited funds, it would probably be either retail sourcing or bulk sites, right? Or books, or combination of both, okay? Now, if you ask me long term, just overall, right? What's the most profitable business just in general that I can pour my money into and scale the fastest, maybe for like the next year, right? Or something like that, or in the next 6 months, it would be wholesale. Okay, the reason being is wholesale has so many other products. Your margins aren't always that great with wholesale, but it's the most scalable business. You can source from a number of wholesale suppliers, especially using software like Scan Unlimited, like I recommend in the course, right? And then using that software, it can find, good profitable products from those specific suppliers, and I give you a list of them as well in the course, just like in every module, right? And then all you really need to do is find a couple good products here and there, and then buy a bunch of those products and hop on the listing, right? With wholesale, you really want to be kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? You really want to be really strict in your sourcing criteria, right? You want to have a high standard, a high bar. You don't want to go in on a wholesale product that looks like iffy or like slightly good, right? You want to find a really good or a great wholesale product and then buy a bunch of them, right? So we're talking like high sales velocity on a listing, not that much competition on that listing, or not enough competition to match the potential sales velocity, that you see a window that you can hop on for an extended period of time, source a bunch of inventory from your wholesale supplier. Obviously, there's a profit margin there, and then ship a bunch. Maybe it's 10, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 50, maybe it's 100, maybe it's a couple hundred, depending on the listing, right? And how much money you have to source. And then obviously, it's just the most scalable business in my opinion, right? Because you can source for specific listings and then buy a bunch of that specific product for that listing, and it's hands off, right? Because it just sits there. You can set your automatic pricing to kind of manage your inventory for you and your prices, and then you don't really have to focus on it. You can then just focus on the next wholesale product and then shipping that into FBA, and same thing, rinse and repeat, right? So I know that I didn't give you like a definitive answer, like this is the best, most profitable one. But honestly, the truth is that it really just depends on you. It depends on a lot of different factors. And so if you need to rewind that, obviously watch it again. I kind of, did my best to outline what I thought for each specific, step in the process that you are. If you're beginning, like I said, focus on liquidation a little bit, but more so coupon, cashback, or retail dropshipping with Poshmark. I'm actually putting retail dropshipping into the next version of the course. I'm, kind of structuring it and planning it right now. This is what you see here. I'm kind of just like putting ideas on paper and what I think are good ideas for the next version of the course. I'm actually going to change the course. I don't think I'm going to call it Online Arbitrage Pro anymore, because a lot of new people to the course aren't necessarily familiar with what online arbitrage is. So I'm just going to focus on reselling in general, especially because I think retail drop shipping on Poshmark is, a phenomenal option for beginners, as well as I think I'm just going to call it Resale University. I bought the domain name Resale U. I think I'm going to turn it into Resale University, but obviously that will just be the next version of Online Arbitrage Pro. So if you're enrolled in any of the versions of Online Arbitrage Pro, you will get access to Resale University, okay? And then obviously, if you're focused on right now, like I said, retail sites or bulk sites, same module in the course, or books. And then obviously, if you're focused long-term, it's wholesale. So really good question. I hope that answers your question, Mario. You guys have questions. I have answers. If you have a specific question, either drop it in the Facebook group and I will get back to you, or somebody in the group will get back to you. Obviously, there's a lot of other people in the group that are successful sellers that help out. Or you can either drop it on this video right here, or you can keep an eye out for the Q&A post for Sunday or Monday. And when I drop that post, you can comment on that post right there, and I will answer your question in depth in video format like this. So hope it helps, guys, and I'll see you next week.